Anytime you're ready.
My name is Russ. I'm going to give a report on Dino Kraspedon's book, My Contact with Flying Saucers. He had 5 contacts starting in November of 1954. Now the first one occurred in the state of Sao Paulo. A friend of his and him were on a little vacation, and during a rainstorm they saw 5 craft hovering over a hill below the clouds, and they thought, well, let's hang around here for a few days and see if we get to see another craft. 3 days later, a 300-foot diameter craft landed, and they were given a 1-hour tour and were told that they would be contacted again. The second contact occurred in April the following spring, when the captain of the craft knocked on the door and his wife left this parson in, and she asked Dino why a minister would be at their house. Well, they talked about spirituality for a long time, and Dino said he was a confirmed atheist because he thought God should be a ringmaster, and he couldn't see any evidence of God. But after talking with this alien during the 5 different meetings they had, there was no doubt in his mind that Jesus Christ was real, and he said, we became Christians. Now, they talked about many topics, and one of the topics was on matter and energy, which he said, we are attracted by the sun's gravity, but we are repelled by the light coming from the sun, and that there would be another sun entering our solar system. It would first be seen as a red star, and then it would turn to blue, as this photo shows. I believe it's a comet coming in, but it'll look like a blue star. And both our sun and that sun would then rotate around the galactic, or around our solar system center. Now, he said, when it came to gravity, this was the means of propulsion of these craft. And he, the captain of the craft, begged Dino not to share this information with humanity, because humanity would use it to conquer others. And this would be putting other cultures at risk. So Dino promised not to share it. Now, the 3rd and 4th meeting were held at a main park in Sao Paulo. There was a very well-known college professor of physics and mathematics who was with him, and another friend when they were talking with the alien. They answered many questions, and he said, unfortunately for humanity, many very good ideas were discarded because there were no mathematical proofs for it. He said, you remember when you were on our flying saucer, how you couldn't find any light source anywhere? That's because the air itself was luminous, and you had almost a joyful, spiritual feeling. This is quite normal. He talked a little bit about the great experimenters of the past, Marconi, Durant, Madame Curie, and said they would be shocked and saddened to see that their inventions were used for the destruction of mankind, and they would be absolutely horrified to see pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Space Brothers want mankind to change their ways, and they'd be very willing to help if we would become peace-loving, if we would abandon our warlike activities and attitudes, if we'd start working with nature, and if we would become more spiritual. And even more so, if we would let go of ego. He said our education system is all wrong. He said it needs to be based in spirituality. Practical things should be taught, not mere recitation. He said we should be teaching our children the functions of various compounds. And he gave an example of when the children are in school, they should be taught how to grow the wheat, then what is necessary to harvest it, and how it is prepared, what compounds can be made from it, what compounds would be added to. So it would be a whole education instead of just, yeah, well, this is wheat, and go on to the next subject. He also said humanity could develop robots which would do all the mundane tasks of farming, but people would still starve because they don't have money to pay for the food, and that's wrong. Another thing they talked about was using technology to control the atmosphere. And the alien said this would be wonderful because it could avoid natural catastrophes, it could avoid flooding of cropland, but not humanity. They took this technology and developed HARP. HARP is an exotic weapon which is used to heat the atmosphere. Now, there's a couple photographs here that I included because they were interesting. I do not know if these were evidence of HARP, but a hole in the clouds, that's not normal. Then there are a series of two photographs which show a spiral type of cloud thing from outer space. It's up in the upper atmosphere. What would make something like those spirals? The two photos were taken 100 minutes apart. He did say that the upper atmosphere controls the earthquakes. Now, in the recent earthquake, the big one they had in China, there was some footage I saw on YouTube where people saw Aurora Borealis, Northern Lights, over the area for 6 hours, 4 hours, and 2 hours prior to the earthquake. He also warned about use of atomic energy because it can cause utter destruction if ever a plant would go up. And he compared it to one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. He also said that the radiation would poison the milk of nursing mothers, and it would weaken the bones of newborn infants, causing leukemia. Mankind has to learn that free will has its consequences. There was a booklet that we received many years